Happy Tuesday, loves. Welcome back to Health, my friend. If you are new, welcome. If you are a regular, thank you for continuing to come back. This podcast is just an extension of my work and a way to get information and encouragement out to you. So I am grateful that you're here. I absolutely love doing this. Tuesday is one of my favorite days, partly because of the podcast, and then partly because I also do group coaching on Tuesdays right now. Which, shameless plug, my current group of clients in our group coaching program, they're making so much progress, and we only have 3 weeks left, and I am like so sad. But the second round of my group coaching program is starting in June, and it is 4 months long. And I would absolutely love to talk with you if you're interested in joining. It is focused on helping you build healthy relationships with, first of all, yourself. Then we talk about building healthy relationships with food. And then we end it all with talking about healthy relationships with exercise. So it's really hitting on the main 3 topics of my business and my work in creating those healthy relationships with food and exercise and yourself. And it is just so much fun. So you get group coaching, you also get one-on-one coaching. So if that is something that you are interested in, please, my email and Instagram will be in the show notes. So please reach out. We can have a conversation. We can hop on a call and talk about it, see if it would be a good fit for you. I would love to talk with you. So just wanted to throw that out there. If you're new, I'm Abby. I'm Abby Mallard. I am the owner of Health, My Friend, and I work on helping clients build healthy relationships with food and exercise and themselves, making themselves a priority, making their health a priority, reaching health goals in a healthy way. I have a background of really struggling with eating disorders and no self-confidence, no love for my body, a very, very long healing journey of, well, a really long journey of struggling, first of all, and then a really long journey of healing and creating healthier ways of living for myself. And now I'm just so grateful and honored that I get to do this for my job and for my work, and that I've gotten to start a business. I'm not grateful that I struggled. I always say this, like, I am not grateful for the struggle. It is not something that I would wish on anyone. It was some of the hardest years of my life. However, I am very grateful that I get to use my struggle now to help other people that also struggle with what I used to struggle with. Your pain can become a really amazing tool and catalyst for growth and for helping other people. And so that is a little bit of my background. If you're new here, I am not a diet person. I am not a weight loss person. I do not like programs that tell you when to eat and how much to eat. And I love building that balanced, healthy relationship around health. And so if that sounds like something that you want more of, I'm glad you're here and keep coming back. Okay, so I hosted a free webinar last week on making your health a priority. And so I just kind of wanted to talk about that here. It can be really hard to get into like specific things on the podcast or in a webinar setting because I don't know what you struggle with. I don't know what, the person listening to this podcast, what is it that they're really struggling with today or in this season of life. And so it's really hard to get like specific in talking through issues or talking through struggles. I try to share different things that my clients are struggling with, try to give different helpful tips and resources for all sorts of struggles when it comes to food and exercise and loving yourself. But it can be hard to get into like the super, super specific things just because It's not a one-on-one. I don't know what you're struggling with. So when I was putting this webinar together, I was like trying to brainstorm what I wanted to talk about, how I wanted to format it, what I wanted to share. And so I'm just going to share that here also. So if you missed the webinar, you can still email me or message me and I will get you the replay. It won't be exactly the same as this podcast episode. However, it will be similar. And so if you missed it and you wanted to listen to it or you wanted to come join, but you weren't able to, here's a podcast that's a little bit along the same lines. So, jumping right in, making your health a priority. Oh my gosh, this is so important. So important. And when I talk about health, I'm not talking about just your physical health. I'm not talking about your weight. I'm not talking about how you look. I'm talking about your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health, your emotional health, all of it. There is so much that is tied up in health. So if you're getting enough water, if you're eating the right foods, if you're eating foods that feel good to you, if you're eating foods that you love, if you're getting enough sleep, if you're drinking enough water, if you are finding healthy coping mechanisms for your stress, if you are getting quality time with yourself, if you're getting quality time with the important people in your life, like health is made up of so many freaking things. And a lot of times when people think about health, they think about weight or weight loss or nutrition. Nutrition is a huge part of what I do. But it's not the only factor when it comes to health. So just want to preface all of this by saying health is about so much more than just the food that you're eating, the exercise that you're doing. It's so much more. And I want to talk about why we struggle with making our health a priority. And I want you to think about that for yourself. Why do you struggle? If making your health a priority is hard for you, why is it that it's hard for you? Why is it a struggle? So for a lot of people, it's making the time. It's finding the time to make yourself a priority. It's creating that time for yourself. It's the guilt and the shame and the selfishness that you feel when you make the time for yourself, when you create that space and that time for yourself. It's your priorities. It's what you're making, first and foremost in your life. What is the most important to you? A lot of times people struggle with prioritizing themselves. Again, they feel guilty or selfish, or they feel like they're not worth it. So really making yourself a priority and creating that space and that time for yourself, that is a huge struggle for people. They prioritize everyone else. They want to make sure everyone else is good and healthy and happy. And they forget about themselves. They put themselves on the back burner, right? A lot of it is time. So I think I already touched on that, but we are all so busy. There is so much going on in a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis. Like it is sometimes really hard to feel like you have time to get everything done that you want to get done, let alone taking the time and making the time for yourself and for your health. A lot of it is also when we're burnout. So along with time, like if you are just so busy, when you have a moment, when you don't have anything going on, maybe you're just so exhausted and so burnout that you don't feel like doing a damn thing. And you just want to rest and sleep and don't do, not do anything, which sleep and rest is a very, very big part of health. And so I don't want you to forget that. However, when you're always exhausted and always burnout and don't have the time or the energy, mental or physical, to do things for yourself, that's when it becomes a problem. Some people struggle with overthinking. So always thinking about what they can change, always thinking about what they can do to make their health a priority, but never actually implementing the actions. So always thinking about it, always making a plan, always talking about it, but not actually doing anything about it. Some people struggle with overloading. So if you are always busy and hectic and don't have time, like that's one thing. But then also, if you are trying to change your health or make your health a priority or do things for yourself and you are trying to do everything at once, so you're trying to like change everything. So maybe you're focusing on changing how you eat and changing your sleep schedule and changing your exercise routine and making sure that you're getting meditation every day and trying to go to the gym and take classes. Like if you do too much and try to start too much all at the same time, you're going to get really burnt out really quickly. Instead of starting small and implementing small, sustainable habits, people tend to go all in and they burn themselves out and they crash and burn and they quit very quickly and very easily because it just feels overwhelming. And then also conditioning. So this goes along with the feeling guilty or selfish for taking time for yourself, especially as women. I think that we are conditioned to always take care of everyone else before ourselves. And then also for men, men are conditioned that they're not allowed to have needs or, be quote unquote weak, which is fucking stupid. And so both men and women struggle with that conditioning of feeling like they have to take care of everyone else and like for women they have to take care of everyone else and they can't make that time for themselves and they're selfish if they do. And then B, for men, like I'm not allowed to want to take care of myself. I'm not allowed to need things. I'm not allowed to need time for myself. I'm not allowed to need to, take care of my emotional and physical health. That is a very real thing that people struggle with. And so that's a lot of like why we struggle. Another big one is finances, money. Like people struggle with finding the money and the resources to take care of themselves. And so, a lot of health practices and habits that you can implement don't have to be super expensive, but sometimes it can feel like it's really expensive. And I also want to acknowledge here that there is a hell of a lot of privilege for some people and then not very much for some people. And so if you don't have money and you don't have resources, I'm not belittling that. Like that is a very real thing, but I also want you to be able to find the things that you can do so that you can still make yourself a priority and make your health a priority, even if you don't have access to all of the resources or have a ton of extra money lying around, which, let's be honest, not a lot of people have a lot of extra money lying around, right? So these are a lot of the reasons why we struggle with making our health and making ourselves a priority. So, why is it important? Why is it important to make ourselves a priority? Why is it important to make your health a priority? And again, I want you to think about this for yourself. Like, why is it important for you to make yourself a priority? Why is it important for you to make your health a priority? Why is it important for you to take care of yourself well? So, for a lot of people, it is important because we want to change that narrative, like that conditioning, maybe in our families or our social groups. We are very stuck in that conditioning and that narrative of not taking time for yourself, not making your health a priority. And so maybe you have friends, or maybe you have kids, or maybe you have family members that you really want to help break out of that stigma and that conditioning and that narrative. Maybe you want to write a new story, and making yourself and your health a priority is a huge part of doing that. We change the narrative by setting the example. We change the narrative by taking the actions that go against the narrative, right? And so that's another reason that making yourself a priority is important, is setting an example, for your kids, for your family, for your spouse, for your friends, for the people who really struggle with taking time for themselves. Setting that example. Another important reason for showing up for your health and making yourself a priority is to avoid burning out. When you take care of yourself well on a physical and emotional and spiritual and physical, like all of it, all of the components, right? Mental, physical, spiritual, emotional. When you show up well for yourself and take care of yourself well in those areas, it helps to avoid that exhaustion and that burnout. It helps to keep you from getting to a place where you feel like you can't do anything because you're just so exhausted. It helps to keep you from just crashing and burning, right? Because you're actually showing up for yourself and taking care of yourself and making that time for yourself instead of just going and pushing through and then getting to a place where you just can't do anything anymore. It's also important to take care of your health and make your health a priority because it helps you to show up well. Helps you to show up well for yourself. It helps you to show up well for the people around you. It helps you to show up well as a wife, as a partner, as a friend, as a coworker, as a business owner, as a coach. So many different areas in our life. Like we all have so many hats and so many things that we do in so many areas where we show up. And so taking care of your health helps you to show up well for those things and also to show up well for yourself because you matter also. Another big part of showing up for your health and making your health a priority is having energy. So having energy to love your life, to be able to do the things that you love, to run around with your kids, to be able to go out with your friends and have fun, to just, enjoy your life and not always be so freaking tired. That is a big deal, is having that energy and that drive to enjoy your life well and be able to do the things that you love. It's also important because it helps us to live longer and live healthier and live happier. Maybe you have kids and you really want to live to see your grandkids, or maybe, your family has a really big pattern of people dying young and you don't want that to happen. Showing up well for your health is going to help your body and your mind to live healthier and happier and longer. And then also saving time and money. So showing up well for your health can help you save money by not having to go to the doctor all the time. It can also help you to save time by not having to go to the doctor all of the time. Those are very real things. And if you are struggling with an illness or a sickness where you are always having to go to appointments, it can get really expensive and it can also take up a lot of time. And there are real, health issues that you don't have control over. That's not what I'm talking about here. Like if you need to go to the doctor, please go to the doctor. Don't try to save the time and the money just because you don't want to do it. But when we take care of ourselves well, it helps us to save that time and money because we're in a healthier place. All right. So, what does it look like? What does showing up well for your health? What does showing up well for yourself look like? Again, health is not just physical. Health is physical, it is mental, it is emotional, it is spiritual, it is all of the things. And so showing up well for your health and making yourself a priority looks like a lot of different things. So for your physical health, that can look like making sure you're getting your checkups at the doctor, making sure you're getting movement in, making sure you're drinking enough water, making sure you're getting enough sleep, making sure you're getting the right nutrients and enough nutrients for your body. so many things for your physical health, right? And then also your mental health. So making sure that maybe you need to go see a therapist, or maybe you need to work with a coach, or maybe you need to spend more time in nature, or maybe you need to do more yoga or meditation. Um, Maybe you need to take medication. Like, there are so many different factors that go into your mental health as well. And then your emotional health. So making sure that you are slowing down and making time for things that you love and that bring you joy. Spending that quality one-on-one time with your partner, your friends, having community, and spending that time with people who build you up and who support you and who, share your interests. So many different things that go into emotional health as well. And then spiritual health. So maybe that looks like meditation for you. Maybe that looks like going to church. Maybe that looks like praying. Maybe that looks like spending time in nature. Whatever it looks like for you, taking care of your spiritual health is really important. And so, with all of these different factors of health, there are so many things that go into making them a priority and taking care of those different aspects well. So, what does it look like to take care of your health? It looks like a lot of different things. And that's not to make you feel overwhelmed or like, oh my gosh, I can't do this, because it's so many different things. It's to just give you a little bit of an idea of the different things that play a role in your health, in all of these different aspects of health. And then I want to talk about how we can start to take care of ourselves well, how we can start to make our health a priority, how we can start to make ourselves a priority. It can be really hard to make changes. It can be really hard to make lasting changes, especially. And it can be really hard to know where to start. And so, my biggest tip for you, excuse me, is starting small. So I want you to start small. I want you to implement small habits to start making your health a priority. So, what does that look like? Maybe it looks like, if you're not doing any movement right now, maybe it looks like trying to exercise 2 to 3 times a week, starting small. Maybe you drink 3 glasses of water right now. Okay, so maybe you try to drink 4 glasses of water a day. Starting small. Small little changes make the biggest difference. And what you can do is, once you add one little thing and that starts to become normal for you and routine, then you add another little thing and you just keep building until you have good routines, good habits in place. But you don't do it all at once, or else it becomes completely overwhelming and you're not going to stick with it. So start small. Get support. So, number 2, get support, whether that looks like a coach, whether it looks like a friend that's also working on health. Maybe it looks like an accountability group or accountability partner, but get some type of support to help you stay on track and to remind yourself of how much progress you're making when you feel like you're not making any progress. And then the third thing is just having a lot of grace for yourself, a lot of grace and a lot of compassion for yourself. When you are trying to make changes and when you are trying to make your health a priority and make yourself a priority, it can be really hard. And it is not like a 2-day journey where you're all of a sudden going to be exactly where you want to be and you're never going to have to do anything ever again. Health is a continuous, never-ending, lifelong journey. And so having grace for yourself on those days when you feel like you're not making any progress, having grace for yourself when you maybe don't show up the best, or having grace for yourself when you don't show up in the way that you wanted to, having grace for yourself when what actually happened doesn't look like the picture you had in your head. Having grace for yourself, because that is so, so important. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have good days. That's normal. It's part of the process. And so having that grace for yourself and reminding yourself of that on the hard days, especially. And so I hope that this is helpful. I hope that you took something away from this. I hope that you will start to make your health a priority. And, maybe like your physical health is great, but your mental health isn't so great. Maybe you focus on your mental health, or maybe your mental health is great, but your physical health isn't great. Then maybe you start to focus on your physical health. It doesn't always have to be like you focusing on every single one of them all at the same time. So start small, get support, have grace for yourself. And if you ever need anything, or if you want me for support, please reach out. I am always here for you. I absolutely love what I do. My contact info will be in the show notes of this session. But I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day whenever you're listening to this. And just a reminder that you are worthy and you are enough and you are worth taking care of. And you you don't always have to struggle. And so allow yourself to make yourself a priority. Allow yourself to make your health a priority. And if you need help with that, if you need support with that, please reach out. All right, y'all. I will see you next time. Bye.